Bradley Beal has been traded to the Phoenix Suns for a package that is expected to include Chris Paul, at least the contract, Landry Shamet, and a collection of second-round picks and swaps in the future. And right off the bat, Mo, I just want to get your initial reaction to the trade itself and the relative low return for a max player.
Yeah, so my first reaction is like, okay, Phoenix got another really great scorer, but they have so many holes on their roster. Like, we have to see how the rest of this plays out. If this is their only move, like it's okay. I get it. But like, it's not something like, I don't think it's a clean fit. I don't think it's easy. I think this is one of those things where it was like, hey, Bradley Beal's available. Let's go after him type scenario, which, okay, fine. We can make it work. You have unbelievable talent, top level talent in Devin Booker, Kevin Durant, and Bradley Beal. But that's about it after that. And then the return, I mean, listen, that's one of the reasons why I'm not that mad at Phoenix. It cost them nothing. They were talking about waiving Chris Paul, and they turned him into Bradley Beal. Landry Shamet, who I thought was awful in the playoffs, turned him into Bradley Beal. Second round picks and pick swaps. They didn't even have to throw in a first round pick because they don't have any to throw in. They're all going to Brooklyn. Like, the return for what it cost them, like, yeah, might as well, and see what we can go from there. But this is the product also of giving out a no trade clause to a player that you probably should have never given a no trade clause to.
Yeah, I mean, look, when he signed that contract, we all kind of suspected that he would eventually be traded on this contract, which is why we didn't understand the no trade clause. The Wizards were not very good anyway, so it's not like he had them really over a barrel to compete for a title or something like that. But that being said, the no trade clause goes with the contract. So if things don't work out in Phoenix, it's we could play this game all over again. I do want to talk a little bit about the Suns themselves. I mean, and thinking ahead to next season, right? Like, we all expected them to be better, even if they just ran the same team out there. But this team wasn't perfect, obviously. I mean, they lost to the Nuggets, who were the eventual champs. They have no depth as it is, Mo, and they get another max player on the roster, on the balance sheet. Their hands are going to be a little bit more tied when it comes to signing guys. I mean, they're not going to have any money to go out and sign free agents. Not that there are any available. They don't have any draft picks. They don't really have a collection of young players that excite you. Are the Suns just going to be Bradley Beal, Devin Booker, Kevin Durant, DeAndre Ayton, and you hope, Gilligan's Island crew crashes into the facility and you have just some bodies out there?
Well, I think this is they're not done, I think, is the important thing. I think they need to turn DeAndre Ayton into 2 or 3 role players, and I think, I'm pretty down on Ayton. Maybe that's me being extreme, but like, I'm not a big DeAndre Ayton fan. I think for them, the smart move would be, hey, we have so many holes on the roster. Let's go ahead. Hey, Dave, they don't have a point guard. Cameron Payne's going to be their point. Like, I get it. Devin Booker is going to have playmaking duties. They're going to expect Bradley Beal to do some of that, and so on. But it's like, they don't have an actual point guard. Cameron Payne's not very good. And I think, no offense, he had that monster game 6, right? It was the Cameron Payne game and they lost. But like, I think they just have a lot of holes. I think they got to turn DeAndre Ayton into a few more pieces because they got to get depth. And I think that's going to be the important thing going forward the rest of this offseason, is try to find a new place for him and see if they can figure out a way to turn him into 2 or 3 guys that can give them big minutes. And playoff minutes is really what we're talking about, more than just regular season minutes.
Yeah, this is not a problem you can solve with Ish Smith, for instance. I mean, this is just not
NBA champion.
Hey,
Ish Smith.
Respect to Ish Smith, but they need an actual NBA starter level point guard. Thinking about how they're going to play. I mean, this is 3 shot makers. It's 3 guys that can operate with the ball in their hand. Bradley Beal is a really gifted shooter coming off dribble handoffs. He's good in the pick and roll. Not much of a defender the last few years, but that being said, it's not like he had good defenders around him, so who knows what we'll get there. But offensively speaking, which is where we focus, when we think about these moves, how do you envision them playing? Does he fit into the style of play that Devin Booker and Kevin Durant have already established there?
I mean, it's interesting because this isn't like you're going into a situation with Frank Vogel as the coach and not Monty Williams. So it's not like we can talk about the system that they've ran already
Right.
and how he's going to plug into that and so on. But I think you could find a lot of stuff with dribble handoff games with the three of them. I think you could find some work with them at the elbow and opportunities there in how they play. But Dave, it's so hard to just even envision this because I don't think we have the complete picture of what the team looks like. All right, if you have DeAndre Ayton, are you going to run a whole lot more pick and rolls and opportunities for there? Are there going to be, how do you fill all of this in and Ayton, and those opportunities? Or if you move them and you turn them into other pieces, what are those pieces? How do you make those things work? I would think I would probably try to find more of a motion offense. In general, I think there are more opportunities there for all three guys. If you create something with a system with movement and cutting and we're going to do a bunch of dribble handoffs with each other. We're going to do ball screens with each other and things like that. I think you're going to have some stuff that gets interesting, but it'll be something that we still need to see what the rest of the roster looks like. If they're done, like they're done with all their moves, it's going to be interesting because I have a lot of questions in terms of how Ayton's going to deal with that.
And the other piece of this trade, Chris Paul going to the Wizards, hot on the heels of the report that he and Phoenix were seeking a bit of a divorce. I don't know. Maybe that's a little too acrimonious of a term, Mo, but they were looking for a new home for Chris Paul. The original report was that he may be waived, but they were going to take time to seek out a trade. And this trade is going to be held up a little bit, Mo, to give the Wizards time to see if they can find a contender to put Chris Paul with. So some of the options that come to mind, I'm just going to pull some out of an imaginary hat here, Mo. How about the LA Lakers? How about the Clippers? How about the Celtics?
Yeah, I think he's going to be a Laker. Excuse me, a Clipper. Sorry, LA. That was really my thinking point. No, I think he's going to be a Clipper. We already have the report from Chris Haynes that might be something that's possible. I think he's a perfect fit for what they need. A guy who doesn't need to shoot, but will pass and get these guys into offenses and things like that. This is actually kind of what I thought they were going to get from John Wall, but also comes down to this, Dave. I still think he can only play 20 to 25 minutes a game. Like, I don't know if he needs to be a guy, like he's the answer for everything for them. And I think that's going to be important going forward. But I think that's a good landing spot for him and good for the Clippers to try to figure out if that's where they can get him.
Absolutely. I mean, they could use a guy to help get their offense organized. I mean, they're constantly searching for point guards out there. So, if he can give them 20, 25 minutes, especially come playoff time, be a great fit. And finally, hot on the heels of this trade, Chris Haynes has reported that Miami's focus is on Portland superstar Damian Lillard with the genuine belief that this could be the offseason. The veteran guard seeks a change of scenery. And Mo, I mean, the options seemed for Miami like it was Beal or Dame. And you got to choose one. Dame feels like the more Miami choice to me.
I mean, he makes more sense, I think, in Miami than Beal, to be honest. I just at the contract number,
no trade
alone,
clause,
like right, like I think that no trade clause, all of that stuff. I think like that is an important aspect for the Heat in terms of what they're looking at and whatnot. And I think reading just kind of the opportunities, like this Thursday's draft is going to be so interesting because we have no idea what Portland's going to do with the third pick. And what happens if Charlotte takes Scoot or if New Orleans trades for the second pick and takes Scoot? Because they seemed like they were all excited for Scoot. Even Brandon Miller, who's a good piece. Does Dame want to deal with another young guy and that stuff? No matter how good they are, it's like, okay, it's the scary proposition for Miami is you're banking on the fact that, okay, this will be the year. Like, how do you know that? And if it's not,
right.
And we've had pump fakes from Dame last year, like how confident are you in that? So if you're that confident, okay, then, but if it doesn't pan out, you're kind of stuck if you're just waiting for that the whole time.
I mean, I'm just waiting for Chris Haynes to tell me what Dame wants. So once that happens, we'll all know. That number 3 pick, Mo, like we were talking about it last week. It is the single most fascinating asset like heading into this draft because Wemby is done. Like we know where he's going. The number 2 pick is, someone could be aggressive and go there. Charlotte brought in both Scoot and Brandon Miller. So really no idea where they're going there. I haven't heard that. I had heard originally that they were very in on Brandon Miller, but bringing in Scoot, I mean, he's the sort of high level prospect that you can't just pass up if whether there's a fit or not. Like you have to draft for talent if you're Charlotte. So
I want to
pick into flux a little bit.
I want to push back a little bit about fit with Scoot and LaMelo. Because like we've seen over and over again in the NBA, having multiple ball handlers on the floor is not a bad thing. And I think that's what everybody's kind of afraid of. And I don't think that's something I would be worried about if I was Charlotte. I think they can coexist with each other in that opportunity in the offense and so on. And I think that's something that they'll figure out. Yeah. But I just wanted to push back on that. But Dave.
Oh, yeah. Well, neither one of those guys are selfish either, Mo. Like that's the thing that stands out to me is like, oh, wow, 2 high level guards who like to play with other people. Why is that a problem?
But I think the draft will start with the 2nd pick. And then from there, everything will happen. I mean, we have wild stuff. I mean, Indy's looking for a wing and might trade 7. Like, there's
and they have 3 first-round picks.
Yeah.
Like, Jonathan, I mean, what if they want to move up?
I mean, Jonathan Kuminga's got the Warriors are looking at Jonathan Kuminga and seeing if they can find something and move into the lottery somehow. The rumors that are going around. There's just so many things, but it's all going to start with the 2nd pick.
Yeah, it's going to be a wild week, and we're going to have you covered right here on the Athletic NBA Show. Make sure, if you haven't already, subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're going to go live with our annual draft show. It's going to be me. It's going to be Mo, Jay King, Zach Harper. All your favorites are going to come through on draft night like we do every single year. So come and join us over on YouTube for that. And of course, we will post the audio on the main feed after the show because it's too much fun watching these guys like fulfill their dreams and us making fun of them for their clothing choices or what have you. So join us this week for all the crazy trades, all the draft coverage, everything you need right in one place, the Athletic NBA Show. This has been the Daily Ding. I've been Dave before. That's Mo Dakhil. Thank you guys for listening.
Ding, ding.